Welcome to the Emporium Outdoors. My name is Michael, and today we have the launch of a new product by Bluetti. So Bluetti has sent me along a new piece of equipment to test out. I'm a big fan of their products, and today we're going to go through a quick unboxing and go through some of the features and see if this is the right product for you. So I personally hate unboxings. It takes way too much time. Oh, I've done all the hard work for you. This is the product. This is the Bluetti AC2A. So this is a smaller power station. This is a 300 watt model, and it's an amazing size. I've actually been wanting Bluetti to make something similar to this for some time, because it does fall between a much smaller device, something like a small battery pack that I used to carry back in the old days before these things came along, and the bigger units that I carry typically at the moment. And this one I've been using for the last, I'd say 4 weeks, and I've been extremely impressed with it. So let's go over some of the features. But first of all, I'm going to get rid of this box. So inside the box, you'll get a couple of manuals, registration card, etc., plus a box of cables. So I'll tell you a couple of nice things about this particular model. Is it comes with a normal C13, same as your PC at home. Power cable, excellent. There is no external brick. Huge win. Also comes with the normal charger. So this is XT60, and these are the normal solar power connectors that you might get on a panel. These are universal, perfect. And there's one other cable that I don't have with me right now, which is the XT60 to 12 volt cigarette lighter type adapter, which plugs in here to the charging port. So this device will produce 300 watts on the 110 volts of the AC circuit, just here as you can see, these two outlets, but it will do what's called a lift wattage, which allows things that take more power like little motors or heaters or whatever to actually boot up and start to run. So it will peak out at 600 watts, but a consistent 300 watts once they're running. So some of the things 300 watts will cover, it'll cover something like a hairdryer on lower power, not on full power, and something like a soldering iron, which I used recently to do some repairs. So smaller home appliances, something like that. You can also use this to power other devices using the USB ports, and we'll go over the ports in a second. So what I like about this particular form factor is it's very light. You can easily pick it up with one hand. Some of the larger power stations, obviously they have more batteries in. They're kind of heavy. But this is very convenient to throw in the back of your car. You could even put it in a backpack. And there is one other bonus with it being so small, especially for me. I do lots of winter camping, and my other power supplies I leave at home when it's particularly cold, because the cold can really damage them. When you get down to -30, -40, you don't really want to take electronic devices with you. I do take a few, but I have a method to keep them warm during the evening while I'm sleeping. With this particular model, this actually fits in my sleeping bag. So I put all my electronics in the bottom of my sleeping bag typically, my cameras, and now I can put this in and actually power everything. So the actual weight of this device is 7.9 pounds, which again is very light for this type of device. So the unit has 208.4 watt hours of power. So that tells you how long it's going to run for a specific wattage. So based on say 200 watts, this will run for about an hour. So one other important stat you need to know is how quickly does this charge up again. So this will take 270 watts to recharge at the turbo setting, and it takes about 45 minutes for 80%, which is pretty good. And when it is charging, it's very quiet at 45 decibels, which is really quiet. You're not going to hear this thing. One of my complaints with the older models, Bluetti's, was the external brick adapter that you used to plug in, and the fan would run all the time. Again, most of the newer models actually have the direct charging, which again, I really like. There's nothing to lose, nothing extra to take, and you can always find one of those C13 cables somewhere. So let's have a look at some of the ports. So on the side, we have the AC charging port. And again, you can see those 3 pins, just like your PC at home, plus lots of other appliances use them. And on the front, we have 2 110 outlets. We have a 12 volt cigarette lighter port. So on the USB ports, we have a USB Type-C, which will charge at 100 watts. This is great for laptops. And USB Type-A's, which is at 2.4 amps, which is great for phones, etc. 3 buttons on the front, one to turn the unit fully on, and then we have the DC and AC power buttons to switch on each of the different supplies. The other thing to note is there is a ground port on the side that you can attach to ground if need be. One of the things I do in my professional career is I've been in IT for a very long time, and that requires me to repair some components sometimes on laptops or PCs or whatever, and having something like this has really changed the way that I diagnose problems. So these are protected power supplies, so if there is a dead short or anything like that, the 110 will just trip out. It's very safe to use this, or safer than using a 110 from an outlet. So when I'm testing components, I can just keep this on the desk. I can run my solder station with this. I can also test the equipment if it's low voltage, like laptops for instance. And it's great. I don't feel that I'm gonna short things out and cause a real problem. This thing will take care of any dead shorts for me. So it is a protected power supply. So the other great thing you can use this device for is an uninterruptible power supply, or UPS. So you can plug in something like a laptop or a router at home, something you need to continue powered when the power actually goes off. So let's talk about battery life. So these devices will have a life. That's a given. Every battery does. So Bluetti says this will take 3,000 plus recharge cycles. So if you base that on, you charge it up once a week, which I typically do. If I'm taking it out somewhere, I'll use it, take it back, charge back up again. So that's 52 recharges in a year. So this thing will do 3,000. Over time, those batteries will degrade slightly, but with a 3,000 cycle recharge, it's not going to be any effect. It's going to last you several years before you even have to think about replacing this device. One of the key features I want to mention is it does have the Bluetti Bluetooth app. So with the app, you can turn on the ports at the front, turn the unit on and off, and you can monitor the input and output. For me, having the app connection is a big bonus. I love watching the solar power being pushed into these things and getting all that free electricity, and I can monitor how it's charging, whether I need to move the solar panels, etc. It's a great feature. I think all of these power stations should have that as a bare minimum. So who do I think this unit's for? I think if you don't really need a big power supply because you're not running things when you're camping or around the house, you just need something for emergencies or something for smaller devices, this is probably the unit for you. I think it's very affordable, and it's a huge step up from the dumb USB battery banks that we all used to buy before these things came along. So I think these are great if you need to run an appliance around the home or in the garden. You need to plug in a work light, for instance. You can plug it in and you can take it anywhere you wish. If you have a small work tool that consumes less than 300 watts, again, this is a perfect model. For me, I can charge my drone a couple of times with this unit. I can plug in my laptop. I can charge that up, my phones, my cameras. I can go an entire weekend with this one device. I power my refrigerator. That normally pulls about 40 watts. So this thing will run for several hours before the fridge will die on me. And if I pair this up with a solar panel, then I can actually run this probably indefinitely on a camping trip. And if I'm traveling with my Jeep when I'm camping, I can plug this into the 12-volt outlet. I can have this thing powered up to 80% again in 45 minutes. So let's talk about another serious case use. So over the weekend, it's January 2024, we got a message across all of Alberta that the power needed to be reduced across the entire grid. Something I've never seen since I've lived here for the last 12 or 13 years, and it was quite worrying. The temperature was close to minus 40 Celsius, so it's probably about minus 38 Celsius, I would say. So it was cold. Most residential properties in Canada run a natural gas furnace, a four-star system, and it needs power. It doesn't take a lot of power to run it, but it does need 110-volt power typically. If the grid goes down and you lose power to your furnace at minus 38 Celsius, that is a major problem. The warning sent out by the government actually made the hairs on my back of my neck stand up, because that would cause huge problems across the entire province. So currently my consumer panel in my home doesn't have the ability to switch across to an alternate power supply. But after that message that I received on the weekend, I'm going to make that happen. And I'm going to be using a power station similar to this, probably bigger, to protect my home in the future. As we see more and more electrical devices come on stream, especially electric cars, etc., the demands on the grid are going to cause a problem. Having power at home, even if in warm weather, you can power your network devices, you'll charge your mobile phone in emergencies, these things are becoming a must. The alternative is a gas generator, which I really don't want to go down that route. With the weather at minus 38 Celsius, my vehicles don't even run. I have to plug them in to warm up the engine blocks in order to start the vehicles. So if you can imagine an external generator running at those temperatures, that's a pretty hard ask for some devices. If you haven't thought about a power station until this time, it might be time for you to think about picking one up. I personally like the Bluetti products. That's my go-to. When I head out the door, this is what I grab, a Bluetti product to take camping with me. I trust them, and they've got progressively better over time. So if you're in the market for a smaller power station that's going to run some things around your home, you don't want to spend a huge amount of money, but you want to step up from a USB battery bank, plus have the convenience of running 110 volt, then this might be the product for you. So let me know in the comments what you think about the Bluetti AC2A, whether this form factor is going to work for you, whether you think 300 watts is enough for you. I think it is for most people for general use. So until next time, take care. And as always, thank you very much for watching. If you like my videos, leave me a comment, maybe a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe.